कृपालु गुरवे नमः। नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनम् प्रणामो दुःख शमनस्तं हरिं नमामि हरिं। नमः कमलनाभाय नमः कमलमालिने नमः कमलपादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण। यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वं हा देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Eternally devoted souls, please turn to page 26 in book number 2. Page number is at the bottom of the page. Peer Hari, tum binu kaun Hari. We'll sing it first, then I will explain it. Tum binu कौन हरे पीर हरि बिनु कौन हरे तुम बिनु तुम बिनु कौन हरे पीर हरि हरे पीर हरि तुम बिनु कौन हरे पीर हरि दैहिक दैविक भौतिक तापन दैहिक दैविक भौतिक तापन दैहिक भौतिक तापन बहुत जरे पीर हरि अब लो बहुत जरे पीर हरि अब लो बहुत जरे पीर हरि अब लो बहुत जरे पीर हरि तुम बिनु कौन हरे पीर हरि तुम बिनु कौन हरे पीर हरि लख 84 योनि चराचर लख 84 योनि चराचर बहुविधि स्वांग धरे पीर हरि बहुविधि स्वांग धरे पीर हरि तुम बिनु कौन हरे 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 पीर हरि मृग मृग जल ज्यों धाय रैन दिन 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 इंद्रिन घटना भरे पीर हरि इंद्रेण घट ना भरे पीर हरि इंद्रेण घट ना भरे पीर हरि इंद्रेण घट ना भरे पीर हरि तुम बिनु कौन हरे 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 पीर हरि छिन छिन बाढ़ती जाति वासना 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 ज्यों घृत अग्नि परे पीर हरि ज्यों घृत अग्नि परे पीर हरि तुम बिनु कौन हरे 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 पीर हरि नर तनु पाय कृपालु चेत न तू नर तनु पाय कृपालु चेत न तू नर तनु पाय कृपालु चेत न तू नरतनु पाय कृपालु चेत न तू परि भव कोप मरे पीर हरि परिभव कोप मरे पीर हरि तुम बिनु कौन करे ओ तुम बिनु कौन हरे पीर हरि तुम बिनु कौन हरे पीर हरि तुम बिनु कौन हरे पीर हरि तुम बिनु कौन हरे हरे पीर हरि पीर हरि In this divine composition of Jagadguru Tam Shri Kripaluji Maharaj, the aspiring devotee, the sadhak, is saying, O Sham Sundar, O Shri Krishna, who else but you can remove sorrows from my life and my heart? Only you are the divine healer, only you can heal me in every possible way. The question is, what is the suffering? What is the sorrow? Why is the healing needed? So that's being explained. Daihik, daivik, bhautik, tapan, abalan bahut jare. I have suffered greatly from the threefold sorrows and sufferings. The threefold sorrows and suffering are daivik, daivik, bhautik. Adhyatmik, adhi daivik, adhi bhautik, dukh. Adhyatmik dukh are physical ailments such as different aches and pains in the body, fever, flu, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, too high, the bad cholesterol is too high, good cholesterol is too low. There is no end to physical maladies. They afflict the body, the physical body. Then there are mental afflictions such as anger, hatred, pride, envy, and there's so many more. All of these are mental diseases. We know about physical diseases, but we must recognize that we have these mental diseases. To talk about mental disease was a taboo until recently. You understand? You know. People didn't like to talk about mental disease. Now everybody's talking about mental health and taking good care of mental health. Well, mental health cannot be attained unless and until we understand these mental afflictions such as anger, greed, hatred, pride, envy, and we gain control of them, we reduce them. So daihik dukh, otherwise known as adhyatmik dukh, are physical ailments plus mental sorrows, mental ailments. And then adhidaivik dukh are the sorrow and suffering that we experience due to forces of nature. There's drought, there is flooding on the other end of the spectrum, there's too much cold, there's too much heat. There are people who die because of too much cold. They're homeless, and you hear about them in different parts of the country. They are dying. So many of them died due to extreme cold. Then there are other parts of the world where people are dying from too much heat, too much rain, not enough rain, too much cold, too much snow, too much ice, too much this, too much that, tsunamis and storms and the like. Forces of nature, they inflict sorrows upon us. People lose their lives, they lose their homes, earthquakes and such. People lose their livelihood due to forces of nature. And then there are adhi bhautik dukh. These are the sorrows inflicted upon us by different living creatures. Mosquitoes, snakes, scorpions, depending on what part of the country you live in, there are different creatures that you'll have to be cautious about. I was in Arizona, and there I was there for the first time, and people cautioned me, be careful of the scorpions. So how do I be careful? How can I be careful? They said, well, you have your shoes, so walking shoes, don't put them right side up, put them upside down. Why? Because if they're right side up, scorpion may enter there. Well, thankfully I had this hint, and so I wasn't bitten by any scorpions. But then one day I saw I was about to fill my empty suitcase, it was time to go, and there was a great big scorpion right in the suitcase. Thankfully I didn't get stung, and I just closed the zipper. I handed the suitcase to my hosts. So depending on what part of the country, what part of the world you live in, there are various creatures that afflict sorrows upon us. They could be very tiny, but they become a big headache for us. There was a king who went to a saint and he said, "Oh, holy sir, I would like to serve you. Please tell me, what can I give you? How can I serve you?" And the saint said, "Well, there's one thing you can do for me. There are a lot of mosquitoes and flies around here, and when I sit down to meditate, they really bother me. So if you're a king, you could take care of these little creatures, and that would be very nice." The king looked helplessly at the saint and said, "Holy sir, I have no control over these little critters. They bother me as well. Flies and mosquitoes and the like, they bother me as well. I have no control over them." So then the saint said, "Then bhag jao yahan se. Go away from here. You cannot do anything for me, but I can do something for you. I can give you knowledge that will help you in this life and beyond." So there are creatures that bother us, and they become sources of sorrow and suffering for us. These are the three kinds of sorrows: adhyatmik, adhi daivik, and adhi bhautik dukh. And I have been afflicted by all these sorrows. Lakh chaurasi yoni charachar bahuvidhi swang dhare. I have assumed 8.4 million different types of disguises, and I have been born repeatedly in the form of creatures that can move around, as well as creatures that cannot move around, mobile as well as stationary creatures. Creatures that are able to move around would be all of us, humans, insects, birds, animals. Are there creatures that can't move? Indeed, there are. Those are trees, plants and trees. These are creatures that can't just get up and move. They are stationary. They cannot move around. I have been born time and time again in the form of a tree, in the form of insect, in the form of an animal, in the form of a bird. I have assumed 8.4 million types of bodies. Those who are explorers, they are, to this day, they are and they will continue to discover new species. Our scriptures tell us there are 8,400,000 different types of species. Different types of birds, varieties of birds, animals, insects. But scientists say, no, there aren't that many. But then they start saying, well, maybe we found some more, and then we found some more, and we found a lot more we didn't know they existed. This is why I will emphasize here that we must trust the scriptures. Spiritual science is infinitely further than material science. Spiritual scientists, godly saints, they have the same powers as God. God sits within them and writes the scriptures, such as the Purans, the 18 Purans, Bhagavad Gita. There's so many scriptures that we have. And the Vedas themselves, they are manifested from the breath of God. So there is no mistake in them, because God is free of mistakes. God is infallible. So are those who have attained God. So they are responsible for the scriptures. And therefore, these scriptures know infinitely more than material books. That goes without saying. So the scriptures have already said there are 8.4 million species of life, and material scientists are just in the process of discovering. Just like the scriptures say that there are uncountable universes, uncountable Brahmand. Sankhya chetra jasa masti na vishwanam kadachana Brahma Vishnu Shivadinam tatha sankhya na vidyate. Devi Bhagavad Puran, this verse from Devi Bhagavad Puran says there are so many universes that no one can count them. You can keep on counting them and keep on counting for years and years and for uncountable years, uncountable lives, and you will not finish, because you cannot count the uncountable. You cannot count the unlimited. But what did humans say in the beginning? Our human mind told us it can't be that. No, there is only this earth and that's all there is to it. And then, no, there are other planets and there are other worlds. But material researchers did not ever say there are uncountable universes out there. But now we are coming to realize that this is the way it is. They're doing the research and they're finding out, well, you know, what the Vedas have said, what the Vedas and Vedic scriptures have said, that is the correct thing. That is right. So I have taken birth in 8.4 million life forms. I have donned all these disguises. And every time I came to the world, mrig jal jyon dhaya rain din indrin ghat na bhare, I looked for happiness. Just as we humans search for happiness, so does a cat, so does a dog, so does a bird, so does a tiny little insect. When you look at the ground sometimes and we see these little ants in a big lineup and they're rushing somewhere, and you think, where are you little ants going? What's going on? Why are you in such a hurry? If they could talk to us, if we could understand their communication, they would be telling us, look, each and every one would say, I'm looking for happiness. I'm searching for happiness, and that's why I'm in a big rush, just as we are. We're in a big rush to look for happiness. We are in such a big rush to find happiness that when a saint comes along, a guru comes along and says, stop. Stop, you're too busy in life. You're running around so much. Why don't you find out the right direction. And saints ask, what are you looking for? What are you so busy with? Oh, I'm looking for happiness. First we'll say, I'm looking for money, I'm looking for a good family, I'm looking for good health, I'm looking for this, looking for that. But at the end we'll say, well, I'm just looking for happiness. Each and every one of us is searching for happiness. And that's why we are so busy. So when a guru comes along and asks and says, wait, stop and listen, I'll tell you where happiness lies. And while running, we say, cannot stop running. I'm too busy looking for happiness. But should you not find out where happiness is? Oh, I know, it's in money. Lots of money will give me lots of happiness. Living in a big house, a mansion in fact, will give me lots of happiness. Having all the objects of luxuries, as many objects of luxury as I can possibly gather, that will give me happiness. If I win the jackpot, that will make me very, very happy. And the Guru wants to explain, no, you're naive. That's not where happiness is. Just wait, listen, lend me an ear, listen to me. I will tell you where happiness is. And we have said, lifetime after lifetime, I am too busy to listen to you. You have nothing to do. You don't have a job, you're not running a business, you don't have a family, you don't have a mortgage payment, do you? You don't have anything to take care of, so you have lots of time on your hands. But as for me, I'm very busy. You see, my shoulders, these shoulders of mine are carrying so many responsibilities, so I have no time to listen to you. We are so busy running for happiness. And all the while, we are looking at the world, and if we pay attention, we will discover that those who have lots of money are not necessarily happy. And if there is someone who, as we call it, filthy rich, and he's very happy, find out why he's so happy. It's because he gives most of his money away as charity. I was reading about Warren Buffett. He's a multi-billionaire, and he lives in the same house that he has lived in for many, many years, for decades. When he flies economy. He doesn't drive a fancy car, he doesn't have a Lamborghini. And he has given this testimony that there is no happiness in money. And he gives away most of his wealth. So if we pay attention, if we just listen, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can talk less and listen more. Listen more. But we are too busy talking, being noisy, just being so busy in our mind that we don't listen. We don't observe. It is as if we are blind. We cannot see what's going on in the world. It is as if we are deaf. We cannot hear what's going on in the world. It's as if we don't know these things, that money does not make one happy. The biggest lottery winners, many of them have committed suicide. What did money give them? Did it give them happiness? Did it give them peace? Those who had lots of money and lots of fame, they're saying, you know what, I didn't even have a childhood. I was always surrounded by bodyguards. I could not live the life of an ordinary person. I didn't have the pleasures of just being carefree in my childhood, and I still don't have that luxury. So the common person who is not too poor nor too rich, that's a great way. That is a wonderful thing. The middle path is always the best. So whenever we've come to this world, we have only looked for happiness. But when we come in the form of a human, we are able to discern. We are able to be very discerning. We are able to understand that Money does not make one happy, but God does. God is happiness. Anando brahmeti vyajanat. Anandadhyeva khalvimani bhutani jayante. Anandena jatani jivanti. Anandam prayantyabhisam vishanti. Ved. The Vedas say that God is happiness. Ananda eva dhastat ananda uparishtat. Everywhere around him, surrounding him, inside of him, outside of him, above him, below him, there's nothing but happiness. So I have been looking for happiness, but my situation is like that of a deer. In the desert, a deer runs desperately towards water. There's a sandstorm, and the sun is very shining very brightly in the sky. And when the sand flies because of the storm, the deer that is very thirsty, it thinks to itself, there's water up ahead. And it rushes towards the water only to be disappointed because there was no water there. There's only sand. Desert sand is there. What we call a mirage. It's a mirage. There was no water there. The deer, the animal, just thought there was water there. So in the desert, a deer runs desperately toward water, but ultimately realizes it to be an illusion, a mirage. Likewise, I have been running after the material world, searching for happiness, but have not found fulfillment. When we get something in our possession, something that we really wanted, we become very, very happy. When we experience a certain pleasure any pleasure for the first time, we become delirious with happiness. Oh, I got the car of my choice, my car of my dreams, and that new car owner, the owner of this new car, this fancy car, is delirious with happiness. He drives it around, gives rides to his friends and family members, but making sure they don't scratch anything. You're not allowed to eat inside my car. This is my new car, it's my dream car. If you agree not to eat over here, if you agree not to mess it up, I'll let you in. And he goes around showing it to everybody. He's so happy, so happy. He goes to sleep at night, reluctantly. He goes into his bed, but then he comes out, goes to the garage and looks at his car. He stares at the car, adores the car. There's so much happiness. But that lasts a couple of days only. And after that, he doesn't get the same happiness from that car. Anybody had that experience? Substitute that for any other thing, any other material thing. And after some time, then why did I buy this car? It's too expensive. I can't make the payments. And I'm afraid to just park it anywhere because I'm afraid that somebody might steal it or somebody might scratch it. Oh, sir dardi hai. It's a headache. The dream car becomes a headache. It could be a new car. It can be a toy for a child. A child asked me once, little boy, he said, Didi Ji, why is it that when I get a new toy, I'm so happy, but after some time, I don't want to play with it anymore. I thought, what a great question, that a child has understood this. So I took the opportunity to explain that as much as that child could understand. But you know, this is what parents do, knowing that the child will get tired of this toy. So parents, very, very creative, very resourceful, they'll take that new toy that the child is not playing with anymore and they'll hide it away. After some time, maybe a month or two later, they'll reveal it again. Oh, then the child is excited once again. Then the child will get bored with it once again. It happens to big children, small children. By big children, I mean adults. Big toys, like car, jewelry, and boat, yacht, mansion. This is our experience tells us that every pleasure we have tasted for the first time in the world has been just intoxicating. but that pleasure keeps on reducing until it goes to zero, and then it goes into the negative. It starts making us unhappy. It is important to spend a few minutes every day to think about this. What is this world all about? The world that I'm expecting happiness from, what is it all about? And you can take the example of food also. When you eat your favorite food, if you have a sweet tooth, you might talk about chocolates and donuts and barfi and kalakand and all that. And you know, the first sweet that we eat, it just gives us 100% happiness. But the second chocolate from the box, chocolate box, it doesn't give us 100% happiness. It never does. It just never does. It gives us maybe 70% happiness. And that percentage keeps on decreasing. By the time we've had 4 or 5, we are done. If somebody says, you've got to eat just one more, are, why are you forcing me? I tell you, I cannot eat any more. I'll throw up if I do. Because these are big pieces. I don't want to see chocolate again. It could be chocolate. It could be funnel cake. It could be anything. So attractive, delicious. And after that, when you're throwing up due to having too much, that's a negative. It's going into the negative. It's giving sorrow. It's making us suffer. So it could be a thing, it could be food stuff, it could be a person also. That's another thing. There was a lady, and she had a very good sense of humor, and I was staying in her house. She was a married woman, she had children, and she'd been married for many years. And she said, why is it that when I first got married, I used to say to my husband early in the morning when we got up, I had my eyes closed, and she said she would tell him, I want you to be in front of my eyes. When I open my eyes, you're the first one I want to see. I said, oh, really? You did that? She goes, yes. And she said, now, and after that, not too long after that, I used to say to him, I have my eyes closed, and by the time I open them, I want you out of this room. She said, what happened? I said, same husband, right? She said, same husband. Same husband. And she genuinely asked me, what went wrong? Nothing went wrong. You thought there was happiness in this man, or he would have thought there's happiness in this woman, but there was no happiness in this person. A person doesn't have happiness in them. People don't have happiness in them. But the wife thought that her husband is going to make her so happy. So she was now, in the beginning, she was experiencing imaginary happiness. It wasn't real, because if it was real, she would be asking him to stick around even 25 years after marriage. She would say, I want your darshan, first of all. Then I will see something or someone else. But she doesn't, because there was no happiness there, and she thought there was imaginary happiness. Jagadguru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj gives always most effective, most beautiful examples. Sri Maharaj says, think about a dog that has found a dry bone somewhere. The bone doesn't have any flesh on it, it has no blood on it, nothing. The dog has dug up a dry bone and it keeps on sucking it. It keeps on chewing on that bone. And that dry bone causes the dog's throat to bleed. Now the dog is sucking its own blood, but what is the dog thinking? Oh, what a juicy bone this is. The bone is not juicy. The bone is causing your throat to bleed, and it's your own blood that you are sucking. This bone is not juicy. But who is going to explain to the dog? The dog doesn't have the intelligence to understand. Or a camel in the desert. It munches on thorny leaves in the desert, and those thorny leaves cause the throat to bleed. And the camel also thinks, my, what juicy leaves these are. So lucky I found them. So lucky to be eating them. But that camel doesn't realize it's sucking its own blood. These are creatures that do not have the intelligence to understand this. But we do have the intelligence to understand that happiness is not coming from any person or object. It doesn't come from any place or some food. Happiness that happiness that we taste, it is imaginary. Because it's imaginary, it doesn't last. It wasn't real. How could it last? Other creatures do not have the ability to understand, but we do, and we should, we must. How long will we be in the dark? No one has happiness in them. Everybody's asking each other, make me happy. And everyone is promising each other. The young man promises the young woman, if you get married to me, you will live like a queen. If you just become mine, I will show you the world. I will show you so much happiness. I will give you so much happiness. How can a pauper, how can a beggar make such big claims that I will give you millions and billions, and he has $10 to his name? We have nothing, not even a fraction, not even a little particle of happiness, and we tell others, I'll make you happy. So we need to understand that wherever we see happiness in the world, that's a mirage. It's an illusion, just like a creature in the desert, such as a camel or deer, just like these creatures think that there is water up ahead, but in every case it turns out to be an illusion. In the same way, every time we find that that was just an illusion. Happiness was not there. Chin chin badhati jati vasana jo ghrit agni pare. My desire for the world is increasing, just as fire fueled by oil. Because we are thinking there to be happiness in the world, we are trying feverishly, making great efforts to receive that happiness. And in the process, we are not receiving real happiness, but it doesn't stop us. We say, okay, this person didn't make me happy, what about that one? Okay, he didn't either, she didn't either, then another one, and then another one, then another one. This friend is not good, but I will make more friends. They will be good. But Narmada ke kankar sab shankar. Everyone is the same. There's no happiness in anyone. But because I'm trying, here, there, everywhere, then my desire for the world is increasing. This fire that is burning in my mind, the fire of worldliness, the more worldly things I give to myself, the more, it's like I'm adding fuel to the fire. So my desire for the world is increasing. So if you have a bonfire, then you have a bonfire going, then you add fuel to it. The flames will be getting higher and higher. In the same way, we are worldly minded people, and when we taste more and more temporary pleasures of the world, we give more and more of the world to ourselves, then we become more and more worldly. The fire of materialism is increasing. It is getting stronger and stronger, which is very dangerous for us because God has given us this precious opportunity as humans to use our developed mind, discriminating mind, to understand from a true guru, from a genuine guru, where is happiness? How I can attain happiness. Rather than doing that, if we are just trying to satisfy our desire for happiness through the world, we are going to be more and more disappointed. We are going to suffer more and more. Our suffering is increasing. So Jagadguru Sri Kripalu Ji Maharaj says, Sri Maharaj Ji says, Nar tanu paya kripalu chetanatu paribhavakupa mare. Having attained the precious human form of life, you should be very alert. Otherwise, you will suffer endlessly by falling in the bottomless pit of this material world. Various saints and scriptures have praised the human form of life. They cannot say enough about it. They praise it highly. Nar tanu samne nahi kavani udehi जीव चराचर जाचत जेहि, बड़े भाग मानुष तनु पावा, सुर दुर्लभ सद्ग्रंथ निगावा। दुर्लभम मानुषम जन्म प्रार्थ्यते, त्रिदशैरपि मनुज देहमिमं, भुवि दुर्लभम समधिगम्य सुरैरपि वाञ्छितं। विषयलम्पटता मपहाय वै, भजत रे मनुजाः कमलापतिम्। References given from Ramayana, Purans, and the words of Adi Shankaracharya. Scriptures and saints are telling us that human form of life is very rare. It's a rare privilege. And if our foolish mind thinks, well, if I don't look for real happiness in this life, if I don't go after God now, I'll do it next time around. But next time around, what's going to happen to us? Are we going to be given the human form? Just like that? Kathopanishad says, Yoni manye prapadyante sharirattvaya dehina. Sthanu manyenu sanyanti yatha karma yatha shrutam. You will receive the kind of body, next time around, the kind of body that you are deserving of. What is the nature of your actions in this life as a human? Are you being careful with your gift that God has given, the greatest gift that God has given, the human body? Are you being careless, or are you being careful? Are you doing what it takes to receive a human body once again? Because otherwise, we will be demoted. By that I mean we'll get the body of an insect, a bird, a plant, a tree, an animal. These are demotions. Even the celestial beings, these devtas, even they want to be born as humans. That means that they envy us. I remember very clearly Sri Maharaj Ji saying to us in the ashram, in our main ashram, Sri Maharaj Ji's birthplace, Mangad, Sri Maharaj Ji looked at us and he said, Devtas in Swargalok are envious of you. And who are these people? Very ordinary people. And look at their privilege. What have they done to deserve this? So that shook everyone up. And Sri Maharaj Ji says, even the Devtas are envious of you. You've got such a privilege. In other words, you are not realizing what you have in your possession. Gayanti devah kila gita kani dhanyastu ye bharat bhumi bhage. Devtas pray to God to give them the human form of life. We don't know where we will be in the next time around, in the next life. Which actions of ours will give us which form of life? Have we done enough devotion? Have we done enough seva? Have we done enough sadhana, enough satsang to merit the human birth once again? To make sure, I would say, to increase our chances, drastically, we will need to follow the godly path. We will need to look towards the world. We will need to thereby reduce our worldly attachments, worldly desires. We want to see the world. I want my eyes to see the world. But how much are we going to see? Even if we go to the moon, then we'll want to go to Mars. Then we'll want to go to Jupiter. We'll want to go to different planets. The desire to see does not end. Some people say, you know what, if you have a desire to eat something, go ahead and eat it, and just go ahead and eat it. Then you'll be satisfied. No. Let's say, okay, I want ice cream, chocolate ice cream right now, and I may as well just go and eat it. Is that the solution? Is this how I get rid of the desire for chocolate ice cream? No. Because we've already had chocolate ice cream countless times in countless previous lives. We still desire it. What makes us think that by eating as much as we possibly can in this life, we'll get rid of the desire? It doesn't happen this way. We need to deny our desire. We need to deny our desire. The desire to see the world, desire to hear as many sounds of the world as we possibly can. The desire to taste all the delicacies that exist in the world. The desire to inhale all the fragrances. The desire to touch all the soft things in the world. And so there are many closets in the world over. There are many closets, huge, huge closets with hundreds, thousands of outfits. There are people who pride themselves on saying, I do not repeat my outfits. What do you do with the other ones? I give them away. Because I have the desire to wear new clothes all the time. When I want really good pizza, somebody told me in California, Devi Ji, shall we get you this pizza from Chicago? I said, are you going to Chicago? No. How are you going to get the Chicago pizza from Chicago? We'll fly it over. I said, no, I'm not that desperate. To have pizza flown in from Chicago? No, I had never heard of that. This is not the way to get rid of our desires, worldly desires. The way to get rid of them is to deny them. As Sri Maharaj Ji has said so beautifully, खूब तरसाया है तेरी ही ख्वाहिशों ने तुझको. खूब तरसाया है तेरी ही ख्वाहिशों ने तुझको, अब तू भी इन ख्वाहिशों को कुछ तरसती छोड़ दे. These are such amazing words. That your desires, ख्वाहिशें, your desires have tormented you so much. For every desire we have, we feel a lot of pain. I want this. I want gajar ka halwa at midnight. What? How are you going to get carrot halwa at midnight? There's not even carrots at home. And even if there were, you don't know how to make it. There's nobody else here. Where are you going? Which store is open that you can buy gajar halwa? How are you going to order it? But I want it. Every time we have a desire, it torments us. It bothers us so much. We cannot be at peace. So Sri Maharaj Ji says that our desires have, he says your desires have tormented you to no end. Should you not want to take revenge? Don't you want to be even with them? Don't you want to get even with them? So get even with their desires by not accepting them. When the desire knocks at the door of the mind, just say, sorry, I will not open the door. I'm not accepting you. I don't want you to come in. But I'm really a good desire. No need for you. You know, when you go to the mall, oh my God, this outfit is to die for. I need it. How many kids, how many teenagers have said to their mother, I have nothing to wear. What are all these clothes? Oh, bored with them. I want something new. It could be anything. But we keep on desiring more and more. And our worldly attachments are increasing. And the reason we came to this world, the reason we were given the human form of life was to know God. And the world is in our way all the time. It's not that the world gets in our way and terrible world, you're getting in my way. We are standing in front of the world. We embrace it. We are embracing the world. And we say, I'm not getting anywhere in devotion. It's because of not only because of, but this is one of the culprits, that our worldly desires are so many. We want to see, hear, taste, touch, and smell the world as much as possible before Ram Nam Satya Hai happens, before we pass away. So anyhow, Jagadguru Tam Shri Kripaluji Maharaj tells us in this wonderful, divinely beautiful composition, Tum binu kaun hare peer hari. He tells us about Shyam Sundar, Shri Krishna, who is the only healer. Shri Krishna is the divine healer who can heal us. We who are tormented by our worldly desires, we are tormented by daihik, daivik, bhautik, dukh. We are tormented by the mental diseases. We are tormented in so many ways. It is only by going towards Shri Krishna, that we can start feeling the relief, for He is the one and only healer. बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय, श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे.